What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about a very important aspect of your sales process. This may be, after audience, this may be the most second important thing that you must do. And you must qualify your customers. Let me go ahead and kind of give you some guidelines on this. I have some other products that require a phone call. And during this, there's layers to this process. First, there's a questionnaire. Now let's talk about that. I have people who just breeze through the questionnaire, yes, no, yes, no. Those people get denied. And then I have people who take the time to answer the questions well, and they get to that important question. Do you have $6,500 to $10,000 to invest in your future business? And they always, most of the time, they go, no, I don't. Now, for me, that's a no-brainer, because typically I'll send them a nice response. Thank you for filling out the form and everything. But because you don't have the startup capital, there's no point in us having a phone call. Do you want to learn how to build a holding company, an operating company, and how to get massive lines of business credit? But more importantly, do you want to learn how to start, management, run, and organize an operating company where you can make money? This is one of the things that we have that's going on in the Corporate Citizen Playbook. And one of the things that you need to do is to go below and sign up for the phone call. What we do is we have a scheduled phone call before you can get into the Corporate Citizen Playbook to make sure that your thoughts and our thoughts match up before we get you into the program, which will constitute hands-on training. One of the things that's going to happen is I'm going to guide you personally through setting up your business, setting up your organization, and doing the things that you need to do to be successful. So go below, there's a little video for you to watch, then there's a questionnaire. Let me say this, do not go in and half fill out the questionnaire. If you half fill out the questionnaire, that will disqualify you from entering into the Corporate Citizen Playbook, where you can learn how to make six figures for the rest of your life. The link's below. Check it out. Now, what does this do? This dramatically reduces your deal flow. I pretty much canceled like 8 phone calls last week, because here's the thing, and this is where you save a lot of time. When you're sitting there and you pitching to someone who cannot afford your offer, you're wasting a lot of time. I mean, a ton of time. And this kind of takes me back to when I was selling commercial office furniture. Once I became really clear on the qualifications, because I would just straight up ask them, all right, so based upon our conversation, the range, the amount of furniture that you're talking about, and we're just talking, it's gonna be, and I'm just kind of spitballing, but it's gonna be about $500,000. Is that something your company can afford? I would ask them these questions really early, because here's the thing, and this is where I used to be stupid with sales. I would just be so happy to get that appointment, and I go in to do my presentation, and I really wasn't thinking about qualification. So I remember looking at my charts. I had a month where I went on about 45 appointments, and after 45 appointments, 35 were not qualified. So I wasted time, gas, and energy talking to people who could not afford my product. And that next month, I was like, we gotta do something different. And this is when I started qualifying my customers. And this is when I started saying, do you have the money to afford my services? And it seems a little harsh, but let me tell you, with my new business model, since I qualify people, I'm on the phone maybe 6 to 10 hours a week. If I didn't qualify my lead source, I would be on the phone 40 hours a week. I would be on the phone talking to a bunch of people who could not afford my products. And you gotta qualify. You really gotta qualify. Now, this is different, and be sure to subscribe and to hit the bell notification, because we're going to be talking about sales, because there's different layers of sales. And when you're doing a service, like, let me go ahead and just kind of give you an example of something that's coming in the future. One of the things that happens, and this is what a lot of people want, they want hands-on service. They want to be able to call you, ask you questions, and talk to you. Now, as a person, what is the most limited thing that I have in my life? Time. And if someone is going to impress upon my time, like, I'll give you an example. I had a source where I had 5 customers. They had my phone number. They can call me anytime. They can ask me any questions. And guess how much I was charging these people? I was charging them $50,000 per month. And see, for you to have that kind of access and that kind of help and these things, there's got to be a premium price on that. Because, like, give you an example. Let's say I had one of my programs and I had that $1,500 one and done payment, and you could talk to me whenever you wanted to. I would be working 80, 90 hours a week, because I'm going to go there. I'm going to say it. Years ago, I used to know someone who was kind of, and we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. But essentially, you have to qualify your customers. You have to have a good sense of what they can afford and what they can't afford. And I'm going to give you a really good example of this. When I went to order my Porsche at the Porsche dealership, it was packed. So, what is a Porsche? It's an expensive automobile. Dealerships were packed, and they have a sports classic, and they've got some special models coming out. They're already sold out. If you weren't in line to order one of these like last year, you cannot get one. So I say that to say there are plenty of people with money. And I got a program that I'm probably going to launch probably next year, which will be very intensive. You can talk to me whenever you want to. You'll have the company phone number, but it's going to be $20,000 to $30,000 for that program to have that kind of access. Because, let's kind of go ahead. Now, if I was having a program where people came to the YouTube channel and they can go in and then they can go ahead and get something and then they can buy something. Like, I give you an example, like across the stream, it's like, get the free money course. And there could be something with that where you just go in, you go to the website, you buy it. There's no conversation, there's no talk. That's a totally different marketing scheme. But for my higher ticket items, and I have a few, you have to have a phone conversation. And the phone first the application is a qualifier. The phone conversation is another qualifier. And then once we go through all this, I know that you can afford it. Then the phone conversation lets me know that you're capable of doing the work. And this has made my programs much better, because one of the things that will happen is, and we'll be talking about pricing and all this other stuff, but you want to qualify these people, because I remember that month where I was just talking to all these people who could not afford to buy my product. It was terrible. It was simply terrible, the things that I went through with these people. It was terrible. So if you want to go ahead and have a streamlined business, save a lot of time, a lot of efforts, you will get into the position of qualifying your customers as early as possible. And you don't really have to be unkind or mean about this. You really don't. You can be as very diplomatic, because one of the things I do is when someone fills out the application, first thing I do is like, hey, I want to say thank you for taking the time to fill out the application. After going through the application, I see that you're not a good fit for this program. So I'm canceling the phone call. There's no reason to be mean or rude or any of these things. Also, I get a lot of folks who are asking me about where my other channels are. I'm gonna put a few questions to you. You can't find these channels. There's a reason you can't find these channels. I'm starting anew. You cannot find any of the old content. So please do not ask me where the channels are, because I'm gonna say something. You're asking me, how can I get access to free stuff so I don't have to pay you? That's what you're asking, even though you're not saying it that way. And I'm just like, because someone left that question, I was like, where can I find your other channels? And I'm like, they're dead. And this is another thing, because going back to qualification, once again, I'm building this channel to appeal to people who want to make 6 figures and then create a 7-figure net worth. These are hardworking, industrious people. And this is the reason that this content is put out like this. This is why I talk about qualifying. You really need to qualify these people before you put them in your funnel, because this is where things get a little dicey. So once again, make sure you qualify the people. And once again, if you feel that you're a good fit for the corporate citizen playbook, where you want to start a holding company, where you want to set up your operating company, get your business banking, get your company, and more importantly, learn how to start and operate your first company, go below. And this is a qualification questions. If you don't have $6,500 to $10,000 in disposable cash or credit, there's no point in you going to the application process. Notice how I said that very clearly, very politely, because essentially right now, Porsche doesn't have an issue selling cars. Lamborghini doesn't have an issue selling cars. Rolls-Royce doesn't have an issue selling cars. So what does that tell you? There are plenty of people out there with plenty of money. And that's why you must qualify your customers before you spend a lot of time pitching, talking, and going all around with them. So if you feel that you're a good fit for the Corporate Citizen Playbook, go below, check out what I have, and I will potentially talk to you in the future.